The Bill Belichick era begins in earnest in just a few days. It's time for some insider intel on where things stand ahead of the season kickoff against TCU.
This is House, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Saturday, August 30th, 2025. Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody. Hopefully you're grilling out, having a good one, kicking back, watching college football, not stressed out because we don't play till Monday. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you for making us your first listener watch to get your Tar Heels content every day. Special shout out to all you everydayers here with us, all the great members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord. That thing is popping off this weekend. And all you next level folks who are with us in the Locked On Tar Heels Insider program. Got a special guest with us today. You see him on screen if you're watching on YouTube. You're about to hear him if you're listening. His name is Jason Bloom. He's the chief negotiator from A&P Sports Agency, the number one agency in the country. Y'all, let me just tell you, this dude is prolific. That is the only word I can use. Negotiated 100 plus contracts in 24-25, the most by any agency or agent in college football last year. 49 transfers, again, the most, including the number one player available in the portal on 4 different occasions. He's negotiated more than $17 million in contracts. He's got relationships with every Power 4 GM, yes, including our man Michael Lombardi, been featured on ESPN, Yahoo Sports. When I say legit, I mean that Jason Bloom is legit. I'm a big fan of both Jason and the A&P Sports Agency. Been doing some neat work with them this fall. We had House on the show, one of their agents, a couple weeks ago. I love how they're helping student athletes navigate the current collegiate athletics landscape. And so it's great to have Jason here with us today. And here's what we're going to be talking about. Jason's got great insight on this team from his very direct and very honest conversations with Michael Lombardi, as well as A&P clients on this roster. We'll talk about them in a little bit. So we're going to talk about the first Belichick team, some TCU primer. We're going to discuss the Tar Heels that A&P represents, some long-term Carolina stuff. And we're going to wrap by, I just want to get Jason to unpack how on earth he and A&P are able to do what they're doing at such a high level in this current crazy landscape of college athletics. With all that said, I've talked way too much. Jason, brother, welcome in. So glad you're here.
Isaac, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man.
It's going to be great. Jason's coming to us today from Charlotte. Looks beautiful there in Charlotte today. I'm down in my dungeon office, so I have no idea what the outside world.
You got us on a nice day. I mean, we have a lot of those. So.
Okay, so Jason, what's cool is, man, you've had these direct conversations with Michael Lombardi and really kind of have an idea of where the staff feels like they're at right now heading into this first cycle. And so here's what I want to ask you right out of the gate. Carolina is one of the most exciting but unknown entities in all of college football right now because of Bill Belichick and everything that's going on around that, and because of the school financial investment. What I want to ask you is, what are you hearing from GM Lombardi about how they feel about the landscape of this first season of the Belichick era?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to start. I think the way Mike's looking at things is, they're bringing in so many people. I think, what do we have? Like
70.
Yeah. I mean, you got 13 starters that came in the portal. Obviously, we helped 2 of those guys get there, House and Isaiah Johnson. But I think that, I think they're just looking to piece this thing together. One thing I noticed is when I first was talking about Kamori with Mike Lombardi, he seemed to pick up on all this stuff pretty quickly. Obviously they have the NFL experience, but, the college side of things, it is unique. It is a little different. I've worked with a couple different GMs that came straight from the NFL. JJ Kosh over at Georgia Tech. I just did a deal with Jim Nagy over at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Let me think, who else was there? Before that, they had somebody else as well. They had, I believe it was Rosenberg. They had somebody else over there for a little bit. and they've all told me the same thing. I mean, this is wild. This is wild. There's, it really is. It's a lot of fun too. But one thing I noticed is Mike was able to pick things up pretty quickly. He knew the market. He knew what, who they wanted. He was very efficient and easy to work with. I work with a lot of GMs, but Mike was one of the easiest. I could say that for sure. Yeah.
Every interview I've heard with him, he is so sharp to me. He knows, and what I love and appreciate about him, I haven't had the opportunity to speak with him yet, but I love that he is in like the number 2 chair beside Coach Belichick and like embraces it and loves it and wants to like, he's not trying to subvert Coach Belichick. He's running the playbook alongside of him. And I don't mean like the on-field playbook. I mean the roster playbook. They are in lockstep together. And man, it just seems like such a great tandem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they obviously, he was his agent. He comes from the Lombardi family, obviously. The guy knows football. A lot of times when I'm talking to him, Bill's in the room, I can hear him in the background, but I typically deal with Mike.
Okay.
But as far as this season goes, they're kind of piecing it together.
Yeah.
I think they're happy with the defensive side of the ball. There are a couple of question marks there. But really, I think, they like where they're at. This can definitely be a winning team right out of the gate. Definitely like the first 3 games of the schedule. I think they did them, did them a favor there. You should see this team probably at least 3-0, 2-1 coming out of the gate here.
And that's the interesting thing, Jason, is this offseason has been so full of holy cow, Bill Belichick and all of that we forget, so many people do. There's actual football games to be played here, right? Like it's not just about the aura of Bill Belichick. And that starts 2 days from now, as folks are listening to and watching this on Monday evening, literally the only Division I college football game on Monday, man. It's so cool. It's standalone. It's going to be pandemonium. I know you're going to be there at Keenan Stadium, man. It's crazy. And go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say that there's no surprise that they put this one on Monday night primetime,
It's obvious. It was the biggest no-brainer ever. Yeah, absolutely. And so let's dive into the game a little bit here, Jason. Like, let's talk about Carolina TCU. You said let's just go with exactly what you talked about. Looking at things on defensive side of the ball. Obviously, we talked about Corey House, one of your clients. Man, there's all these new pieces on that side of the ball. But you also said they do have some hesitations and reservations on the defensive side of the ball. What do you see and hear from Lombardi where they feel good? And what are some of those areas, as you were alluding to, where they maybe aren't feeling like they got where they need to be yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way I would put it is this. They're obviously, this year and next year trying to build out their team. It's going to take some time with recruits and with the portal. I think they like a lot of the players they brought in. I think that, the spots they're going to be looking at a little bit more might be the offensive line, corner. While they did bring in Thad Dixon, who was outstanding in the Big Ten last year, there's still, the other half of the field. And I think that, they're going to be looking at that to see how it gels. I think they don't really know what they have yet. So I wouldn't put it as a full question mark. I think they just don't really know what they have there. One of the things that I do really like is, obviously we represent Kamori House and did his transfer into UNC from Washington. And we can get into that in a little bit. But as far as the strategy goes, he's teaming up with his one of his high school players that he played with, Simpson over there, right?
Andrew Simpson,
so,
right?
Yeah. So I think that's really going to be well for them because football it's a very entangled sport. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to determine performance. And I think that when you get in the trenches and the linebacker and all that, it is very entangled. And so it's really important who's around them. And I think having this guy that comes from high school with him, who's also an outstanding player himself, I believe the communication is going to be there, which is so key. It's so important. Right out of the gate, we're going to see this. You got TCU's offense. What are they looking at? Last year, 33.5 points a game. They were really slinging it around. They got a 3-year starting quarterback here with Josh Hubert. He's been around. Their coach has been around for 4 years. On the continuity side, they win. There's no doubt about that. They've got that there. So some of the things that I'm going to be looking at when I watch this game, I'm going to be looking at, TCU's run defense wasn't exactly stout, as I would put it. Kind of the Red Sea parting there. So it's going to be interesting. Bill Belichick loves to run the ball from his time up, in the NFL and in New England. But with those question marks at offensive line, it's going to be interesting to see can they really exploit that.
I know.
We're going to see it. I mean, I don't know. These are just who knows, but we're going to see if they can really exploit that. We're going to find out on week 1 there. And it's a great offensive line for them. I mean, it's a great matchup for them to go there against a run defense that was not very good. So there's that. However, another thing I'm looking at is, they are bringing back, all Big 12 safety, Bud Clark. So this has nothing to do with the run. The run, they might be able to get that going. But on the passing side of things, you've got, Gio Lopez was just named the starter. He's going to be coming. He's coming from a completely different conference, Southern Alabama. He's not used to playing around the same talent level as the ACC. They're bringing back guys like Bud Clark and others. While TCU did lose two corners. They do have a lot of depth there, and I think you got Bud Clark. The safeties, obviously, they're the leader out there on the defense. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this, how the passing game looks, how much of a leash does Bill give them on that, or are we just running the ball? And then another thing too, obviously, the elephant in the room, they lost to Marion Hampton.
Yeah.
There's no way to get around this, and this would have been perfect if he was there to go against this defense, with how bad they are against the run. So we'll see what it is. Josh is a great player. I mean, he threw for almost 4,000 yards last year. The guy can really sling it, even though they played terrible in the championship. This is a team that won a lot of games. They've won a lot of games under, their current head coach. They did make it to the championship, even though it was a complete disaster. But
yes,
that is going to be interesting right there. How can they hold up? Also, last year, this TCU team, they did go on the road. They put them against Stanford. They won a tight game there. Now, I'm not comparing Stanford to UNC at all. Obviously, this UNC team is going to be way better than them, but it was close. What are we talking? 34-27 here? Yeah. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's a little too close for comfort. And so we'll see. I mean, there's a ton of things I'm looking at. Also, UNC, this defense last year, 28 points per game. Okay, that's what they gave up. Obviously, completely new team. I got a lot of faith in my client Kamori House. We love Kamori at A&P. He's great. I expect to see him flying all over the field. So that's going to be interesting to see, what that defense looks like, how many points per game, what they're looking at, especially against a 3-year starting quarterback, Josh Hubert. Let's see if they figure it out. I mean, these are the things we're watching. And obviously, just like college football, while we all love Saturdays, you never know.
You just never know.
So we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what that brings into question, Jason, and I don't mean question like negatively, but like, will we see immediately the Bill Belichick in-game adjustments that he's so famous for as Josh Hoover? Like, does he find some seams and some pockets against this Carolina secondary? And how, Belichick, man, just so quickly figures things out and makes adjustments, and that could be a critical part, right? Like, with all due respect to Mac Brown, Bill Belichick is undoubtedly a better in-game adjustment coach. And I think that will serve Carolina well.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt. It's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. I mean, when we were talking earlier about entanglement and all that, the positions that are entangled the least, where you really could evaluate performance, is on the outside, with receivers and the corner, the one-on-one matchups there. that's where you can really just see who is better, because their performance isn't really entangled on a whole lot. And that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, they got Dixon on one side. That's fantastic. But as far as the depth on the other side, there might be some question marks there. It's going to be interesting to see if Josh Hubert can expose that and what that looks like. I mean, you're talking about 33.5 points a game. The guy can really throw the rock around. We're going to see. Do they have a vulnerability at corner? And if they do, hopefully I'll take care of it for them in the portal.
Yes, sir. I love that. I love that energy, Jason. Man,
there you go.
And that's a great transition you've made, because I want to look at, yes, we're talking Carolina and TCU for Monday, but I do, while we've got Jason, want to look ahead to what is this thing going to be long-term for Carolina? Can they become a power? Will they stay in the ACC? And how will Bill Belichick and Mike Lombardi and company do as this thing keeps on moving? We'll talk about that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about our friends at Game Time, college football is back, and I could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, man, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. You got these massive lines, hidden fees, prices jumping up at you at checkout. And that's why I use Game Time. Literally, my family and I just used Game Time to buy some tickets. We went to see Dude Perfect in live action. And man, the process was seamless, and I absolutely loved it. I'm going to use Game Time again and again and again. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Honestly, I looked TCU at Carolina for Monday. Cheapest as we record this, I found tickets for $85 in section 210 row L, but there are zone deals that you can find for cheaper. Go check it all out at Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Jason, we all know that Carolina is a basketball blue blood. But man, this school, this athletics department is going all in on football. They paid up for Bill Belichick. They've invested all this money. They're committed to doing it. So my question is, with these guys at the helm, Belichick and Lombardi and staff, can Carolina football be a consistently strong entity, both at the conference and national level?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's what they're planning on. When you invest this much capital into this, and obviously that, I don't know the exact agreement that Belichick has with them, but he's not coming over for nothing. And they're obviously, they understand the game in this day and age, and what it takes to win. And I think they're ready for it. Based on all my conversations with Mike, I think that they know what they need to do. They know what the market is, and they're doing what they can. I mean, Carolina fans should be thrilled. You've got steady hands on the wheel here. And I think that, leading you into the future, this is perfect. We're already seeing the impacts. I mean, you're seeing the impacts when it comes to recruiting, transfer portal, just the way the players think. And it really is impressive. Once, some of my guys heard that, once they hear UNC's interested, they pause what they're doing. They get on that phone call right away. So
interesting.
As far as kind of what the plan is, obviously I think UNC is probably, and this is just my speculation, I think that they're probably trying to get to the SEC for a whole lot of reasons. Exposure, money, all of it. And it's the question, can they get there? Now, obviously, they're going to have to, invest more money in this whole thing. We're going to have to see what these ratings look like, but they're probably going to look great. Also, it's like you got South Carolina is in the SEC. I think North Carolina should be in there as well. Doesn't make much sense to me. You got a ton of great rivalries around here. Obviously, the UNC versus South Carolina. Columbia is down the street. I go there often. Tennessee. Tennessee's right there. That's a huge one. There's a whole lot. So I definitely think that that's probably the ultimate plan in the long run, I don't know when that would happen. I don't know if that's a 2030 thing. I don't know what that's going to look like, if they're trying to grow it or not. But obviously, pretty soon it looks like the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be, keeping to add more teams into the mix. They're going to keep swallowing up all these teams. But UNC, I mean, for right now, the ACC is going to be great. You've got some really good teams out there and some really good leaders. I like what I'm seeing. Florida State, they got a really, really great GM over there, Derek Ray. Makes a ton of great moves. He's I really like working with him. He's great. I think he's going to build that program back out. I know they had a rough year last year.
Sure.
Even a school like Virginia, they got Tyler Jones and Justin Sparrows over there. They're really doing a great job. They got a great vision. They're building this program. I really like what I'm seeing there. Clemson, of course, is always a competitor, always. And it is kind of funny the effect that UNC has had on Clemson, as far as they used to be the one that wasn't really going into the portal very much for things, and that didn't take long. They realized, hey, you're going to lose a lot of ground here. The recruits, the transfer, all of it. If you don't, get your act together and get it in. So I think the whole, we're better than the portal thing that went out the window real quick. But they have an opportunity. I mean, UNC's got a great opportunity. Obviously, that playoff spot's going to be there. Last year, SMU was in there. No, SMU's a great program, but I thought they were probably a little weak going in, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe they shouldn't have got in there. A team like, South Carolina or others, I mean, they probably would have beat them head to head, to be completely honest with you. But the opportunity's there. I mean, they've got a great start to this season. I think they got the atmosphere, they got the hype, they got it all, and now they just need to get out there and get it done. And it's going to be interesting to see, if it takes one or two seasons of competing for the ACC championship, maybe a playoff berth, hopefully. And I definitely think that they're going to be eyeing the SEC at some point down the road.
Jason, you mentioned when North Carolina calls now, your clients, your guys stop and say, hey, let me take this phone call. I want to ask you, we've talked about Kamori House some, but I'd love to give you the opportunity to talk about the other guys that are A&P guys on this Carolina roster. You mentioned Isaiah Johnson earlier. Would love for you to tell us some more about him, as well as Ty White, who we haven't had a chance to talk about yet.
Absolutely. So, we got on A&P has Kamori House, Isaiah Johnson, and Ty White. Isaiah, we helped him transfer in from Michigan State. Isaiah is going to be kind of like the slot receiver over there. He's fast, he's quick, in and out. He's going to be, running all those kind of routes. Picture, what I really like is, he's kind of like a Julian Edelman here. Look at that, kind of like an Edelman, a Welker. He's going to be in there. Yeah, he's going to be doing those Z routes and turning people around. He's fast as heck. I expect him to do well. It may take a little bit to get used to, but I expect him to do well. You got to remember something too. These are college guys. I mean, they're between 18 and 22. They're moving halfway across the country. They're not with their family. They're just trying to get their apartment leased. They're trying to get situated, and now we're throwing them in front of millions of people and saying, "Hey, go! You got to perform." It is a lot, but I think Isaiah, as the weeks go on, I expect some good things out of him. I think he's going to be really great, especially if they take that same mindset they had in New England for the slot receiver. They are viewing him as the starter, so we'll see what happens. I've seen it a lot out there. I know he's been working on a lot of things. Kamori, obviously full-blown starter at linebacker. Mike's thrilled about him. When we talked, probably about a week ago, he said exactly what I wanted to hear. Kamori's out there leading, which is excellent. Kamori is a sophomore linebacker. That's what you want to hear. Being a sophomore linebacker, for them to have that much confidence. Kamori was one of the first people that they got. One of the first negotiations Lombardi did was, with me for Kamori House, and they knew they wanted him right out of the gate. Obviously, Belichick's son, coaching over there on the defense at Washington.
Right.
They knew what the guy has. And you can see Kamori flies all over the field. He's going to be a stud out there. I expect some great things. He's got his head on right. I know he was on the show recently, but Kamori's a great guy. His family's great. Love talking to his mom, Disha. But yeah, we're excited, man. I'm excited to watch. Kamori's going to fly over that field. Josh is going to get acquainted. Now, I'm not saying they're going on a dinner date, but he's going to know who Kamori House is when this game's over. I can tell you that much, Isaac.
I hope he walks up and hands him an appetizer or something. That'd be a lot of fun.
They're going to get face-to-face.
I should also say for Carolina fans, make sure you're keeping Isaiah Johnson and Isaiah Johnson separate, because there is the Isaiah that we're talking about that is a receiver. There's also the Isaiah Johnson that's a redshirt junior who is a defensive lineman. So just when we're talking about that, folks, we're talking about the slot receiver from Michigan State, number 81 in your playbook there. And then, Jason, let's talk Ty White as well.
Okay, yeah, Ty's a young guy. It's going to be interesting to see kind of how his role develops, what they think after camp on him. Yeah. Right now, I think that, Lombardi and them, they're very, very focused right now on Kamori, on some of those guys, the starting guys. But I think Ty can definitely grow into his role there. It's going to be interesting to see. I do think when we're talking about House for a second there, he does have an advantage because of he kind of knows the Belichick way a little bit. Now, I don't know exactly what they did at Washington, but obviously, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. There's got to be some similarities there. So I'm sure, Kamori knows the mindset of what needs to be done over there. And he's somebody that I think, can lead, somebody that I think can help some of the other guys. Got a ton of maturity for just a sophomore, but with Ty, he's going to grow into his role. I'm excited, and I expect him to be, as the season goes on, and especially in the next year, be a contributor.
All right, man. Great stuff. Now, gang, here's the thing. I said it earlier, but Jason and A&P are absolutely killing it in this crazy landscape of college athletics right now. We're all trying to make sense of it. And I want to know from Jason, how are you guys doing this so well? Bro, I'm not going to ask you to give away industry secrets, but we got to know because, man, I love what A&P is doing. So that's how we're going to have our conversation to wrap the show coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Upside. Hey, Tar Heels fans, are you still paying full price for gas? And if so, why? Stop money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. You just download the app in the App Store or Google Play Store and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying gas that you already need anyway. When I first heard about Upside, it was before we were promoting it here on Locked On, and I was like, really? Come on, really? And then so I checked it out when we started promoting it on Locked On, and I'm telling you guys, Upside is incredible. I used what I've earned from it to help pay for part of my family's vacation this summer, just by using Upside. It's a great app. It's so neat. And I would encourage you to get in on it as well. And don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using, again, my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. Again, that's promo code FOOTBALL. Disclaimer, offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. I began our show by introducing Jason to you all and listing off his insane exploits. I don't want to make him say it. I want to say it for him. This dude is absolutely killing it, as is A&P Sports Agency. And Jason, where I want to start in this conversation is to ask you this. In this day and age of NIL and the transfer portal and now the house settlement, and with managing a stable of well over 100 collegiate athletes, how on earth do you keep your head on straight every day, my man?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, I think I want to start, kind of with the foundation. We've got a great team here. The owners of our company, Jacob Piasecki and Stefan Aguilera, did an amazing job building a solid foundation. I mean, they're truly pioneers at this. We have an outstanding team. I've got an excellent director of scouting, Will Scott. An excellent director of player personnel, Frankie Tricomi. And it really does take a team. It really does. There's not just one person doing this whole thing, but as far as managing this, we've got the largest roster in college football. We got over 150 guys on our roster at any one time. It's fun. It's fun is what I would say. It's definitely fun. I enjoy the heck out of it. We've, our entire team, we're constantly, helping guys, putting out fires, doing whatever's needed. So yeah, I think, working closely together with Jacob and Stefan, we've really done a good job here kind of building this thing out. I think we've seen tremendous growth over the last year. We've expanded our roster. We, hit all-time highs as far as revenue, everything like that. So, we did a really good job building it out. But really, when it comes to like managing the whole thing, we've got an excellent team. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Will Scott, Frankie Tricomi, the guys that are in the office there with us. They're really kind of the backbone of a lot of this. Stefan does a great job as far as on the endorsement side of things, identifying the brands that, the athletes want to work with.
Yeah.
He's a real pro at that. Jacob is kind of, a guiding force here for the agency. He's excellent to work with. I mean, I love what I do, love working with him. And we've really done this, on the negotiating side, we've done this together. Jacob's in the room there. We're bouncing ideas off of each other. We have a lot of fun when we're doing it too, because you got to have fun, man. If not, I feel like you don't get as good of results. So, when you're having fun, you're more confident and you hesitate less. So that's kind of the mindset there. And, we do a good job with that, but it takes a lot of preparation. So the whole team is preparing things throughout the year. We're constantly reaching out to GMs. We're finding out kind of the market and stuff like that. And so when it is time for the portal, when it is time, to negotiate these contracts, there's been a lot of preparation that goes into it, and it's a full team effort.
Jason, we've seen, everyone's called it the wild, wild west in these 4-ish years since NIL came into being. And now this summer we got the house settlement. I'm curious what, you talked about these conversations that you guys are already having. How do you think now that that's going to affect the financial side, the money? Because it feels like the dollar amounts have gone up each offseason as part of this. And so next year, now that there's the house settlement, obviously we have the $20.5 million from schools this year, but the third-party NIL deals are all still part of it. How do you think the financial ceiling, maybe I'd ask it, will be affected next transfer portal season?
So I think the goal of the house settlement is to try to, kind of balance the competitive field out and make sure that every team has the same resources. Now, how's that going to play out in real life? I don't think so. I just don't. I think, the way ever since college football started, that, they've been trying to find a competitive edge. And I think that natural instinct is going to continue. People are going to do what they're going to do. But yeah, I think it does. It will, I've talked to some others about this. I think that amongst the top teams, the top tier, the SEC and Big Ten, I think that it actually will balance things out a little bit more than in the past. You're not going to see those Alabamas for, years and years and years, because the reason he was able to do that is because he was able to keep so much depth. Okay. And in this day and age, you're not able to do that. Those depth pieces, and I can tell you from experience, they don't want to just sit there and wait. They're going to go somewhere else and be the starter. So as far as the top tier, I think it really is going to balance a lot of teams out. I was having a conversation with Josh Pate about this, who does his own college show. I really do think you're going to see like legitimately 12 teams that can win the whole thing. You're going to see that. I mean, they're in the past, what was it, maybe one or two?
Sure.
Maybe. You're legitimately going to see as this keeps going, because the talent is just dispersing. It's all balancing out. They're not all going to stay there and be, Alabama's not going to have third and fourth stringers that are five-star guys anymore. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It just really isn't. They may have it for a year, but then those players, the opportunities, all it takes is, they're paying the guy, $50,000, a team comes around and offers an $800,000, and that's all she wrote.
That's right. And then that's the crazy thing is it's like, it's probably better for Alabama for that guy to go get experience somewhere else because, hey, let's not burn that bridge and maybe you come back, but now you've got that starter's experience. And so it's just all of these possibilities. And that's where you guys come in, is helping navigate every bit of that. And Jason,
Right.
I think that's the last question I want to ask you today is, as college recruiting, whether out of high school or whether in the transfer portal, has at least in some part changed from the relational, I'm really good in the living room kind of coach to now it is so much more transactional as it would be at the professional level, which is obviously where A&P comes in a big way. And I'm not saying you guys aren't relational. I'm not saying coaches aren't relational, but there is so much more of a transactional nature. And how are you seeing that affect the way recruiting is going?
Yeah, so in the past where it used to be, they're on their living room couch. What it's looking like now is they want to be on my living room couch.
That's a great way to put it.
Living room
Great
couch. To be honest with you, it's starting to become that. Obviously, when it comes to the recruiting side of things, they're still doing the same thing out of high school. Those guys, they're still doing all of that, and we don't really represent high school players. We get them once they're in college. There's too much going on, too many people involved, and it starts to become a mess over there. But you definitely are starting to see the GMs wanting to have good relationships with the agents in the business. It definitely helps.
Man, interesting. I love the way you put that. Like, now they want to be right there in that living room in Charlotte, North Carolina, hanging out with you and talking to you about your guys. I love that. Jason, you guys are so wildly successful in what's going on. Is it going to be possible to maintain this pace that A&P is at right now?
God, I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I don't, yeah, I mean, I think definitely, I mean, I can't say what, 10 years down the road is going to look like, but what I can say is we are positioning ourselves, and Jacob's done a great job at this, Stefan as well. We are positioning ourselves for the next couple of years to be successful at this. Our roster is growing every year. We get more and more talent. I'm just so excited about the guys that we've got now. I mean, if I look tired, it's because I stayed up last night real late watching that Nebraska game.
Ooh, same.
We've got the tight end Luke Lindenmeyer, who kept bringing him up over and over and over. Man, was that amazing. He played fantastic. Luke's a great guy. His dad, Vince, is fantastic. But, man, that was exciting. It's been so much fun to just last night, I think we had 10 guys going on all the games that we're playing.
Oh, that's cool.
So every channel I turn on, I'm kind of constantly watching. To be fair, I kept it on Jacarius Peak at NC State for a little while. He's one of my favorites. But, yeah, I mean, it's
they flirted with it, Jason. The NC State flirted with it on Thursday night, man.
I know. They started slow last year too. I went to that game. Jacarius got me some tickets. I went. Jacarius is the starting right tackle. He's one of the best in the ACC. They started slow last year against Western Carolina as well.
That's right.
So
that's right.
They pulled this one out, but I think it was a little close. But it's going to be fun. I'm actually going to be traveling. The agency has me going next week to Raleigh as well to go for the Virginia NC State game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be over there checking that out. But yeah, I think the agency, we're positioned to do very well over the next couple of years.
Good.
We've got all the relationships in place. We've got a great roster. We've got experience now. Like you were saying earlier in the show, we were I was able to negotiate over 100 contracts last year. That was the most. We were thrilled with that. We did very well.
And that's putting it mildly, my friend. Putting it mildly. and here's where it ultimately comes down to for me, Jason, is you talked earlier about how much fun it is. And about these relationships and about these young men and the stories and families and people that they represent. And at the end of the day, sure, we can get all the dollars in the world and have all of this, but I love hearing you just talk about, man, I'm loving flipping around on my TV and seeing our guys and cheering for them and rooting them on. And those are the things to me that make me want to be in your corner and want me to root on A&P as well, because you're doing it for these young men and their families and their futures and all of that. And so I just want to applaud you and say, keep on going. And I'm in your corner, and we at Locked On Tar Heels are behind you. And man, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it all. You got a great show here, and appreciate the time.
Man, thank you so much, Jason. All right, guys, look, 2 days from now, the Bill Belichick era starts. Monday night, nothing else happening. Make sure you're tuned into ESPN. Make sure you're in our Locked On Tar Heels Discord. We're going to be talking about it all night long. We will be live. Yes, I know it's going to be late, but we're going live after the game. Win or lose, it doesn't matter what happens. That link is in the show notes. Make sure you're part of it. If you haven't subscribed here on YouTube or on the audio podcast platforms, make sure you do so you don't miss a second of Locked On Tar Heels. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again Monday morning to get you ready one more time for the game. But until then, peace.